Hello, everyone. For those who don't know who I am, my name is Joey. For those who do know who I am, my name is still Joey. Today we are going to go into Genesis 11 and going into the Tower of Babel. This was another friend request, more so, I'm assuming, uh, possibly by not sure understanding the story of the Tower of Babel, or among other things. There could be other reasons. Maybe just wants to hear the story of the Tower of Babel. Something There's always a reason, and I will leave it to them knowing what their reasoning is. And all I'll do is just read it out and put my own understanding on, say what I understood from it. Um, Now, I've read through Genesis before, and I do have some of my own markings, and I might use that in some of my understanding when I read this and then look over at my notes on it. And the reason why we're doing it today is because I'm running short on time. I have to get to work relatively soon here, and I still want to send something out. We will hop back into Judas tomorrow because I went further into reading, and it was more like the history of Judas, and there were some things that I read in there that was like that were pointing themselves out to me that made me feel like I should be reading this out loud and giving some people some context to the Gospel of Judas and other things as that. So, but for the sake of time and for that being, we're just going to go into just the first part of Genesis 11 because the other two, Shem's descendants and Terah's descendants, are legit just all descendants of different people in the family tree of Noah. And I'm sorry, but I am not personally. Yes, it's important, but I've read this through before, and I'm not about to read out the whole entire thing and then just make a whole timeline kind of thing right now. Uh, and I know that'll take some time. So we are gonna go right into this. Genesis chapter 11, the Tower of Babel. Now the whole earth had one language and the same words. And as people migrated from the east, they found a plain in the land of Shinar and settled there. And they said to one another, "Come, let us make bricks and burn them thoroughly." And they had brick for stone and bitumen for mortar. Then they said, "Come, let us build ourselves a city and a tower with its top in the heavens, and let us make a name for ourselves, lest we be dispersed over the face of the whole earth." And the Lord came down to see the city and the tower, which the children of man had built. And the Lord said, "Behold, there are one people, and they have all one language. And this is only the beginning of what they will do, and nothing that they propose to do will now be impossible for them. Come, let us go down and there confuse that let us go down and there confuse their language, so that they may not understand one another's speech." So the Lord dispersed them from there over the face of all the earth, and they left off building the city. Therefore its name was called Babel, because there the Lord confused the language of all the earth, and from there the Lord dispersed them over the face of all the earth. So, to my understanding, I look back on my notes on this, and it says the Tower of Babel, or what I wrote down, Tower of Confused, because Babel translated is into confused. So that's the first thing I wrote down. Reading the rest of my notes, it's who's this us? God talking to the angels coming down. Let us go down. Other things as such. That's to my understanding. Genesis 11:7. I question why. Babel was not a city of God. I think that must have been. I must have asked that to someone else because that answer actually doesn't really make much sense. So I go to Genesis 11:7. Come, let us go down and there confuse their language, so that they may not understand one another's speech. And I asked why. Someone told me that it was because it wasn't a city of God, it wasn't a tower of God, and at that time it made sense to me. But then I read Genesis, Genesis 11 verse 9, and it kind of makes sense to what we're called to do as disciples now. The Verse 9 says, "Therefore its name was called Babel, because there the Lord confused the language of all the earth. And from there the Lord dispersed them over the face of all the earth." He dispersed them all over the earth. Everyone was talking the same language, and everything was like, "Oh, hey, let's just stay together and we'll just create our own city," kind of thing. And I think the way God saw that was like, no, like the whole point of God is to not the whole point of God, but the whole point of God's people is to spread the word of God and bring more people to God. And during this time in the Old Testament, God is like, it's not, if it's not done my way, it's gonna be done my way. It's not that he doesn't care; it's the fact that he wants to save as many people as possible. And so he confuses everyone's language, and it ends up destroying the tower. I don't think he actually. They left off building the city. I don't know if they actually destroyed the tower or if they just decided not to do the tower or not to build the tower. But through making them speak different languages, they could no longer understand each other, and so they dispersed. And there's other people all around the world that could understand one language better than a different. Imagine everyone talking English, and then suddenly some people are talking Spanish, some people are talking German, some people are talking Mandarin, some people are talking I don't know I don't know many languages. That's sad. Danish, Dutch. That's not Dutch, not Danish. Those two could also be languages. I'm not very knowledgeable on that stuff, but just imagine everyone talking the same language, and then suddenly no one except maybe a few people understand each other. And so through that, they're like, well, like I don't know what I don't know what they're saying, and so they dispersed. And imagine someone who was speaking English is now speaking Spanish, goes somewhere to where it's people who also understand Spanish but haven't heard of God yet. This was a way of God dispersing his disciples, dispersing everyone and focusing more on God. Because something I underlined earlier, Genesis 11, verse 4, right near the end of it, or I'll just read it. Then they said, "Come, let us build ourselves a city and a tower with its top in the heavens, and let us make a name for ourselves, lest we be dispersed over the face of the whole earth." They were making a name for themselves. They were not making a name for the Lord. They were starting to become more human, worldly focused, and God was like, "No, I want everyone to be everyone focus on God. Please focus on God, because if we focus on God, we are saved." Um, or you could start saving yourselves, kind of thing, because this was before Jesus's time. So everyone had to do certain things to save themselves for God, or save themselves to be with God in heaven. So yeah, I hope this helps people with the understanding of the Tower of Babel. This is the second or third time I've read this, and through this rereading, I actually came to a better understanding of this, instead of when I asked someone else what this meant. Instead of getting an answer from someone else, someone else that I asked the same question about, which I'm sure was the question my friend had for the Tower of Babel. I was now able to actually understand it myself, which is actually really exciting. I'm getting excited on the fact that I'm able to understand this more. Makes me think of one of the audios in Forrest Frank's deluxe album on Spotify, Child of God. And if you're interested in that, please let me know. Send me a message about it, and I'll tell you what's up about it. There's someone who, I don't know if they'll see the video or not, who knows exactly what I'm talking about. But if they don't see this, they don't see it. But if you're interested in what I'm talking about there, I'm more than happy to talk to you personally about it, because I gotta end the video here. I hope we got to understand the Tower of Babel a little more from Genesis 11, and we will get back into the Gospel of Judas, more of a like historical, factual check on the Gospel of Judas instead of reading through Judas itself and the observations people made from the Gospel of Judas themselves. So yeah, thank you for all who decide to watch this and follow along with me in the Bible. And I hope you all have a great rest of your day. Bye.